Hello, I'm Dr. James. I've done a lot of clinical teaching throughout the years. I was hurt pretty early in my chiropractic career and had to come up with a plan B, and I love to talk and I love to teach. I think a lot of chiropractors do, and so I've utilized those talents to be a conduit to many schools, and I don't think anyone's taught at more schools and probably taught more students Part 2, 3, 4 PT than me. We're up into about 80,000 people in our registry, so that tells you I've had a lot of success and just have had just a good time doing it. And as I'm retiring, I'm putting these things online, and I want to be a part of helping you too. So let's take a look at some examples, and you can make a choice for yourself. For example, I thought maybe today we would talk about CBCs. Now there is a CBC and a CBC with a differential. So let's talk for a second about what a CBC is. If I had a red pen, now I want to start to teach you things. If I had a red pen, I would circle red blood cell in red, and I would circle white blood cells in blue, because you can't circle them in white, but start to have a distinction between them. And then every time I talked about them, and I always do that, we call that layering. Okay, and we also think that brain mapping is what it's doing. If you look at a CBC, you get reticulocyte information, which is the babies, because that's basically the volume or the size of them, what's the ratio of that. So MCV, MCH, and MCHC are all about the size and the heft of a red blood cell and how much iron is inside of it. So we can get an awful lot of information about red blood cells. If the iron isn't in there, then you will have iron deficient anemia. So that's what this is all about, is red blood cell information. If you think about hematocrit and hemoglobin, before you have any kind of surgery, they always do that kind of testing to see if you will heal. So this is basically an abundance of information about red blood cells. If you think about a CBC with a differential, that is an abundance of information about white blood cells. Again, blue, 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 blue. Everything here I would underline in blue. I've left it black today to let you start to decide if you think those things would be key decisions for you. Because we try to do kinesthetic things, we try to do visual things, we try to do vocal things, so that whatever kind of learner you are, you can come along with us and learn these things. So if you take a look at your white blood cells, probably most of you in school have learned, if you're into clinical classes at all, never let my engine blow 60/30 A30. It's great to learn these tools, but you have to know what they're for. So what is this for? 60/30 A30 is not how many white blood cells you have, but what percentage you have. So in the white blood cells, you have 5,000 to 10,000. I know it says 5 to 10. Nobody would have 5 white blood cells, right? So 5,000 to 10,000 white blood cells. So 60% should be neutrophils. That's your never. So 60% neutrophils, about 30% lymphocytes, about 8% monocytes, and eosinophils and basophils. Now, if you're somewhere in your clinical skills that you've learned that these two are the big deal, the bacterial and viral fighters, that is the bacterial and viral fighting. That is a neutrophil fights bacterial and a lymphocyte fights viruses. Then you are probably far enough along that we can have yet another discussion. So let's go a layer deeper and show you something that a lot of people get confused on tests. And I often do this box with you routinely in parts 2 and 3 because now we have the name white blood cell, the type. There is a neutrophil and there's a lymphocyte. But what is a leukocyte? Let's stop right there and have a meeting with your brain. A leukocyte is all white blood cells. Okay, a lot of tongue-tying words down here. So we've got neutrophils, which fight bacteria. We have lymphocytes, which fight virus. And we have leukocytes, which are 100% all of these. So 60% of the leukocytes are neutrophils, 30% are lymphocytes, 100% are leukocytes. So one of the things I find a lot of you confuse is when we move over into this direction. When you are thinking about a bacterial infection, the neutrophils go up. That means then you will have leukocytosis. Because the neutrophils went up, the white cell family number will go up. So it won't be from 5 to 10,000, it'll be 12,000 and 15,000. Okay, but it does nothing to the lymphocyte family. Now, if the world was created equal, you could go over here to viral and say, well, then the opposite's true. But it's not, and that's why it's important for you to know. So when you have a viral infection, Yes, the lymphocytes go up. But Dr. Laura, draw the arrow for us. Look what happens to the neutrophils. They halt production. You stop making them. That sets you up, if you're immunodeficient, to get a secondary infection. That's why sometimes those people are put on antibiotics, and some people don't understand. But it's not for the general populace. It's for someone immunocompromised. So this takes a healthy person and makes you a little immunocompromised and sets you up to get it worse and worse. So remember then, you have neutropenia when you have lymphocytosis. So if you have 60% going up, while 30% going up, while 60% is going down, then your 100% count is going down. So you have leukopenia. So take a look at a bacterial versus a viral infection and just look at the language. This would be neutrophilia. This is nothing, but that is leukocytosis. A viral infection has neutropenia, lymphocytosis, and leukopenia, or leukocytopenia, some of you like to say. Just cyto means cell. So some throw that cyto in there. So I hope that helps you. So remember, when you're looking at a page like this, Dr. Laura, show the top again. I just want you all to see just one last time. I would make these things red because they're all red blood cells. I would make the white stuff blue, and if somebody asked me the difference between a CBC and a CBC with a differential, I'd say, what are you talking about, white cells or red cells? That is the discussion.